Hey guys, this is Mike from New Jersey Insurance Plans. Today I'm going to go over the Horizon OMNIA plans. The OMNIA plans were just rolled out for January 2016, and they're being made available to individuals and also to small group clients. Now, they've done a lot of fanfare and there's been a lot of fluff in their marketing. It's really hard to understand exactly what the plans are and how they work. So today I'll go over to the exact details so we can get to what people care about, which is how the plan will work and how it will affect them. So what I brought up here is a PDF guide that they made, and this is for the individual market. So I'm just going to quickly go over how maybe one of the plans work so you can understand the differences in these plans versus some of the other plans. Now on the sheet here you can see different tiers. So let me back up actually. So the Horizon plans use the Horizon Managed Care Network, which is their full network. So if you have EPO Advantage, it's their full network. So there is no change in network with the OMNIA plans. What does change is how things are covered within that network. So what they've done is segmented it out between Tier 1 and Tier 2. How they determine these tiers, I don't really know, and they haven't really told anyone, but that's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't really matter for us, the end user. What we do need to know is what the differences are. So what they've done is they've selected certain providers and hospitals and designated them as Tier 1. And if you see a Tier 1 provider, you do not need a referral for your Tier 1 or Tier 2. But if you see a Tier 1 provider, you'll have a lower deductible and a lower copayment amount. So in this case, their Platinum plan, it's a $5 copay at a primary care, $15 at a specialist. Now, if we compare that to Tier 2, the same provider will be $15 for primary care or $35 for a specialist. So that's the only difference. Same network. You see Tier 1, you pay $5. You see a Tier 2, you pay $15. The big differences tend to come in with the deductibles and hospital stays. So you'll see for Tier 1, there is no deductible for the hospital, but on Tier 2, there is. So let's see. So I scroll down here, inpatient hospital. So down our way is AtlantiCare. If you go to AtlantiCare, it's Tier 1, and you pay a $300 per day copay at the hospital. So regardless of the charge, you're paying $300 per day on this Platinum plan. If that hospital happens to be a Tier 2, you'll pay your $1,000 deductible, and then you'll pay 30% of co-insurance up to the maximum out of pocket. Now, on Tier 2, this is $2,500. So, depending on where you go and things like that, that will determine how much you pay and what your liability is for a stay. Now, the confusing part with these plans is how does it work between Tier 1 and Tier 2 with the maximum out of pockets. So what will happen, the maximum out of pocket is the total of your copays, your co-insurances, your deductible for that calendar year. So any approved service, whatever you pay goes towards your maximum out of pocket. So when you see a Tier 1 provider, that accumulates towards your Tier 1 and Tier 2 accordingly. The amounts you pay here, Tier 1, will carry over to Tier 2. I'll say that again. If you use a Tier 1 provider, if you pay $5 copayment, that will contribute towards the maximum out of pocket for Tier 2. The opposite, reverse, is not true. So this is where you have to be careful in figuring everything out. If you see a Tier 2 provider, let's just say you went to a hospital and hit your maximum out of pocket of $2,500, and everything was Tier 2, you have zero liability on Tier 2 for the rest of the year, but you could still potentially pay another $1,500 on Tier 1. They do not cross-accumulate going from Tier 2 to Tier 1. They do cross-accumulate from Tier 1 to Tier 2. So that's an important difference on the plans, and you have to be careful on how you use the plan. So ideally you want to stay within the same tier or try to stay Tier 1 for everything. So how do you figure out what doctors are on the different tiers? You have to use their provider finder. So I will bring up that webpage. So horizonblue.com, here at the top, you'll click Find a Doctor. Now, this is an important difference on finding your hospitals and doctors. The mid-sized market, which is 50 plus or 100 plus, they also have OMNIA. It's a slightly different network as far as which tier 1 and tier 2. So if you're in a mid-sized plan, and you would probably have to ask your benefits administrator if you're considered mid-size, if that's the case, you will select this one, OMNIA. So again, this is for 50 plus or 100 plus, mid-sized large group market. And the reason it's important is the hospitals, the tiering will be a little bit different. Okay, if you're in a small group, so if you have an employee base of 2 to 50, you will select one of these. So if you have a small group and you're in the gold plan, you will select OMNIA Gold. Put in your zip code, and that's pretty much it. So again, that's just a quick review of the new OMNIA plans from Horizon Blue Cross. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at mike@newjerseyinsuraceplans.com, or at the other office at Glen Insurance, msheern at gleninsurance.com, or give me a call, 609-703-3536, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you and write some quotes for you. So again, that's it, and thank you, and have a good day. Bye-bye.